Hi everyone, I'm Henry Evans, and my presentation today follows the rise of Dropout.tv, the internet-born streaming service and media company that has thrived against all odds. In order to actually understand what Dropout is, I have to start with its origins, college humor. It was a comedy website from 1999 that was founded by a bunch of college freshmen. It was mostly shock comedy, women in bikinis, the kind of humor that really only would have flown in the early 2000s. After amassing over 6 million monthly visitors, the company itself was sold to IAC, a holding company, in 2006. After being sold to IAC, they were pushed to grow. They created bigger and more adventurous web series and started creating actual TV on channels like MTV. Eventually, in 2018, they even premiered their own streaming service, Dropout, a place to monetize their less ad-friendly content. They were frankly a comedy powerhouse. Comedians like Jake and Amir and Adam Conover have had their own extensive careers, and writers from College Humor have gone on to write for SNL, Rick and Morty, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, I can go on. Sure, they weren't really that profitable of a company, but come on, the amount of talent attached to the name must have... Oh, okay. It was 2019. College Humor was, as per usual, not doing well. They were not profitable enough. IAC was trying to sell it, realizing the sinking ship that they were on. They were letting go of employees and media properties left and right. Buyers were dropping out one by one until the only offer left they had was from Viacom. It was for much, much cheaper than IAC even bought it in the first place and would have meant the end of the company as they knew it. But they were ready to take it until Sam Reich, chief creative officer of the company, made an offer at the end of 2019. In exchange for the low, low price of free, IAC would still retain a minority stake in the company, and Reich promised to maintain the brand instead of dissolving College Humor once and for all. IAC accepted. It wasn't going to be easy. Reich took ownership of the company 2 days before lockdown hit Los Angeles. The layoffs meant only 7 people of the originally over 100 employees remained with the company full-time. The brand itself was dying, having sunk money into a streaming service that hadn't shown satisfactory returns since launch. There was only one question on everyone at College Humor's minds. Now what? College Humor was left with 3 ongoing properties. Game Changer, the game show that changes every show. Actually, a game show about correcting pedantic fandom trivia, and Dimension 20, an actual play tabletop show where improv comedians play Dungeons & Dragons. As Sam Reich put it in an interview with Fast Company in 2024, it wasn't even a skeleton of the company it was before. It was a toe bone. Over COVID, after pre-recorded content had run dry, the 7 full-time employees did their best to continue existing series. Dimension 20, Actually, and Game Changer continued over Zoom. External actors and talent were still able to be hired due to the personnel cuts. It was a shoestring budget, but with a toe bone of a cast, it worked. When COVID restrictions had lessened, full-scale recording struck up again. New in-person seasons of Dimension 20 and Game Changer premiered in late 2021, almost 2 full years after the company went independent. Incredible things started to happen as Dropout doggedly produced new content despite a global pandemic, a skeleton crew, and a niche sense of humor on a proprietary streaming service. They were making money. How? Well, sticking to their roots, Dropout's main method of growth has always been social media. Their most popular shorts, reels, and TikToks rack up tens of millions of views. The comments are filled with people saying, "Where's the full episode?" The YouTube channel just for the show Game Changer and just for its short clips has over 2 million subscribers by itself. I don't pretend to know everyone's algorithm, but there's a good chance some of you have seen these clips even if you don't know what Dropout is at all. This is their most popular clip from 2021 and has 41 million views.
Track. You have until I cut you off to sell me a keyboard that is all P's.
Sam, don't you feel like in our modern world, we are sometimes bombarded with choices? Wouldn't it be easier, wouldn't it be nicer even, to have a curated selection just for you? And that's what the P keyboard offers you. It is only the best letter of the alphabet.
I have a follow-up question for you.
Yes.
Why is P the best letter of the alphabet?
This is perfect.
Oh!
What is a lowercase b but an upside down P? What is a lowercase q but a moved around P? What is a lowercase d? The list goes on.
Reka, follow-up question?
Yes, if I wanted to write a simple email on this keyboard, something that said, "Hi, did you get the memo? Reka," what would that look like?
This is a clip from a Game Changer episode where the premise was pitching ridiculous products on the spot. If a pitch was convincing enough, they'd win points. It's a clip that makes you want to watch more. Most subscribers joined because of clips like this. You would most likely watch something like this for free, right? However, you probably wouldn't pay something like $15 a month like Netflix charges. But Dropout sits at $6 a month without ads or any sponsored content at all and actively encourages password sharing. It's a low enough price that people are willing to buy it just based on short-form content. Frankly, it's an ingenious business model. September of 2023 marked 5 years of the streaming service Dropout. They'd survived mass layoffs, turned a profit, and kept the subscription price at $5.99 a month due to a combination of accepting slow growth and cultivating a relatively small but very dedicated fan base. By mid-2023, they had hundreds of thousands of paid subscribers. To mark this milestone, for the 5th anniversary, it was announced that College Humor, the name, not the company, was dead. They had officially dropped out. Since their rebrand in 2023, Dropout has undergone massive growth, including releasing new series upon new series. This year in particular has seen massive success for Dropout. These photos are from Dimension 20's live show at Madison Square Garden this March. This was a sold-out show. Madison Square Garden has a seating capacity of 20,000 people. That's 20,000 people who paid good money to see 7 people sit at a table and play Dungeons & Dragons for a couple hours. This is a massive success and indicative of Dropout's growth in general. In fact, at the very beginning of this month, November 1st, it was announced Dropout had reached 1 million paying subscribers. This actually came a few months after the subscription price was raised by $1. Now it costs $6.99 a month, but only for new members. Anyone resubscribing still gets the old price. However, hundreds of comments stated that they would be canceling their membership to resubscribe at a higher price on purpose. Dropout has cultivated such a solid brand that their subscribers actively ask to give more money to the streaming service. Not everyone, obviously, but the most popular comments on the price announcement video are literally people asking how to give this company more of their money. 2 weeks ago, Dropout launched an incredibly funny solution to this, in my opinion, the Superfan subscription tier, or as Reich put it in his announcement, Dropout is going to charge you more if you want. This is an annual subscription of $130 a year, or about $11 a month. As Reich put it, it offers no free merch, no early access to episodes, and no exclusive episodes. Being a superfan does not give you an interesting or compelling advantage to the average subscriber. What it does get you is exclusive merch, discounts on merch, early dibs on events, and access to behind-the-scenes content of existing properties. In other words, things that only a superfan would care about in the first place. Dropout's success is improbable, unique, and rapidly evolving. It's especially strange given the fact that almost none of you know what it is. I have theories as to why it's been this successful, though. First of all, the cast is consistent. Across every show, the same people pop up. Brennan Lee Mulligan, Zach Oyama, Jacob Wysocki, Vic Michaelis, Lily Du, Demi Dijuibe. The list goes on and on. These people have running jokes about each other across episodes, across seasons, and even across completely different shows and properties. This is exploited by Dropout to create a kind of parasocial relationship between the viewers and the cast, and to create a lower barrier to entry for new shows. For better or for worse, subscribers often feel like they know these people and their lives, and it makes them more excited when they show up across Dropout's extended universe of comedians, most of whom are either old College Humor writers or long-standing figures in the improv comedy scene. Dropout also innately knows its audience and its place in the streaming world. It isn't trying to be Netflix and cater to the largest audience it possibly can. It's trying to slowly push its boundaries without alienating the audience it's already cultivated. There are so many examples of this. Game Changer's latest episodes are more meta and esoteric than ever. Fool's Gold was an episode from earlier this year based on Shark Tank. 3 cast members are given money to invest in their ideas for viral videos, pitched by their coworkers and friends that would later be posted on Game Changer's social media accounts. A week after the episode itself got uploaded, the episode would then be updated with the view counts for all the videos that got posted across social media. And the person whose investments won the most views won the game. The most viral video was definitely unexpected. It was a clickbait joke video of Dimension 20 star Brennan Lee Mulligan announcing he was quitting Dropout to pursue his lifelong dream of designing shoes for American Girl dolls. It is nonsensical and absurd and makes zero sense to anyone who doesn't watch Dropout. But that's the point. Dropout is for its fans, and it's not trying to be more than that. Finally, Dropout's been expanding its roster of content by working with other big names in the comedy and the internet in general. Dropout Presents is a series of stand-up comedy specials from comedians far and wide, including science educator Hank Green's first foray into comedy after his battle with cancer. Dimension 20 season's Dungeons & Drag Queens brought in tons of fans of RuPaul's Drag Race by running a tabletop game for famous drag queens. One of Game Changer's latest episodes, Crowd Control, stars internet-famous comedians like Gianmarco Cerezi and Josh Johnson, who have to fight to be funnier when riffing off of studio audience members. These are all more ventures into different isolated spheres of the internet with the goal to reach more people and grow their audience in organic ways. Dropout is in its prime right now, despite still only having 40 full-time employees. Last month, Dropout regular Jeremy Colhane joined the cast of SNL, marking the service's first real break into traditional television. Even while making this presentation, I had to go back and add new information about their growth and new projects. Like I said, the Superfan tier was released 2 weeks ago, and in that video, it was announced that with the assistance of Superfan money, Dropout would now be venturing into the world of scripted and animated content, a space it hasn't been in since before the death knell of College Humor. Dropout is getting bigger than ever. It's a landmark of modern streaming television actively working in tandem with the internet instead of trying to outpace or ignore it. Regardless if you care about niche internet streaming comedy or not, Dropout is a force to reckon with in the TV industry. Thank you. Sources.